大家好，我是康云. Hello everyone, I'm Kang Yun, otherwise known as Cricket, otherwise known as Cloud. In the last episode, we made our way through the Boletarian outer wall. Up to this point, we met the Dragling Merchant, we met Ostrava, and we've taken out all the enemies up to this point, so all that's left is to really progress onwards. I guess I do want to show that last time I showed that if you approached it from this side, you could drop down and talk to Ostrava there and pick up the Thief's Ring. But if you so chose, you could kill this guy as I did before and then come through here and fight these enemies from this way. Talk to the merchant first, and then, go through the level in this manner. Then you'd come out here and those enemies would be alive and you'd be getting shot at by those crossbowmen up there. Interesting that you can see above, or see below where you are. It's pretty cool. And I do want to point out that from here you can actually hop this and land on top of that scaffolding, or that little, those I don't know if they're like sheds with the barrels. And you see Ostrava making his rounds. But you can stand up there and maybe range some of the Draglings from above if you so chose. And it looks like those are like archer or shooting grounds or practicing grounds for the soldiers. You see with those targets. But yeah, let us progress. We've got this fog to go through. Coming out here, we get to see our first, well, I don't know if that's our first, but a clear glimpse of the King's Tower, the inner castle that's built between these two ginormous mountain peaks that are right there. I figure it's a pretty good spot to build a castle. And it says be careful of trap. It's time for rolling. I wouldn't roll into this. If you look here, there's a bunch of boulders. And if you were to run down this pathway, there's a bunch of... Ooh, can we not? Yeah, we can. There's a bunch of archers and draglings, and the archers will shoot that, and if you're standing there, those boulders will roll you over and you'll die. So you want to attack it. And then the boulders will kill them. And the enemies are all taken out for you. So this is a very cool view. So we get a view of the inner wall and the he did give us the telescope, so let's maybe use that. We can see the inner wall that we can traverse that leads all the way up to the further inside the palace, and then the inner wall, the furthermost wall that surrounds the King's Tower. So we can see quite a bit of that from here, built along this cliff edge, and we're also able to see this dragon. That is the blue dragon. There is that's their nest. We'll see that shortly. That's your first glimpse you get of that dragon. And we can hear them. Up ahead, to our left, you want to be pretty careful here because there are 2 spearmen. There are 2 spearsmen, and they can be quite nasty. So we have 2 ways we can go. Up ahead we see more soldiers guarding a bridge, and to our left we see a I don't know what you would call this, but I guess a corridor that's overrun that leads out here, and we get to see the red dragon. That's the red dragon that we saw at the beginning of the level with the corpses in his mouth. I wonder if those corpses in his mouth are the ones that are laying on the ground there now. And you can come down here, and he will blow fire, but if you run along this side of the cliff edge, he can't actually hit you. And you can get two useful items, 2 Archstone shards and 2 Full Moon Grass. The Archstone shards are very useful items. When you use them, they warp you back to the Nexus. And they're hard to come by in this game, so they're worth having. It's very much worth picking those up, especially on like speedrun playthroughs, or if you're just wanting to run out through here. Now, you might be wondering how you're able to loot those corpses if he's going to be blowing fire. Well, I'll show you. It involves going over here. And as soon as you approach, this soldier will run up on you, and you want to take him out. And the crossbowmen will see you, unless you have the thief's ring on, which I do not. But if you stand here, those crossbowmen cannot shoot you. The soldiers won't really pay you much mind, but the dragon will sense that you're on the bridge, and he'll fly over here. Now, if you, from this point, run away, he will fly away, but you want to get him to start blowing fire. And as soon as he starts blowing fire, you want to book it to the nest, because he leaves the nest unguarded, and he will, I think, do 2 rounds on the bridge where he'll blow fire, which gives you enough time to come here, and you get 5 Full Moon Grass. You get a purple flame shield. It's a large shield. You get some soul items. You get the Ring of Flame Resistance, and you want to bait that tail slam by the blue dragon. Then you get the Ring of Great Strength, the most useful item there, I would say. And you can get back before that dragon gets back. You do have to be very careful, because that tail slam will one-shot you. If you're not careful and just try to aimlessly grab that, you'll get hit. So I can show what we got. We got this purple flame shield. Quite literally what that says. This is a really cool shield, and a good shield for if you're a beginner and prefer a more defensive style of play. This is a very good shield. It has 60 stability at base. It does require 22 strength to use, so that is a decent amount of strength. But if you're not concerned about that, and you just sort of wanting to use a good shield, and you're not concerned with parrying, this was a shield that I used my playthrough. I think maybe my first playthrough has 100% block, 90 fire. Its magic defense is poor, but it has really good stability, and it's, as it's implied, is a good at blocking fire. So, and it looks really cool. If we can't show it off a little bit here. Yeah, I like this design. I think it's a pretty cool shield. And it weighs 8 units, so it's quite a bit heavier. Oh, and yeah, it doesn't parry. Instead it does a slam. Is what great shields do in this game. We also picked up this Ring of Flame Resistance. It's pretty self-explanatory. When you equip this, my fire resist goes from 52 to 92. So that's useful for areas where you're encountering fire. And we also got the Ring of Great Strength. It's got a griffin on it, which is pretty cool. This ring, this is a very important ring. It raises your equipment burden. It goes from, my equipment burden goes from 37 to 55.5. But we're not concerned about equipment burden on this character, at least not right now. But for builds who are maybe you started as a priest or a knight or a soldier or a temple knight, you know, classes that start with heavy armor, and if you're not wanting to remove your armor to slow roll, if you would like your defense, this ring will usually allow you to move more quickly and have a fast roll, because you see how I'm moving quickly here with how I am. But if I were to equip this shield and say this bastard sword, now we're slow rolling, you know. So if your character is rolling like that, that Ring of Great Strength is very useful. And it's the hardest item to get because it's guarded. It's the closest item to the blue dragon. So we can run here, loot these corpses. It's not necessary to loot them if you don't really care. But if you're quick about it, you can get them before the dragon comes back. But the reason these crossbowmen survive is, well, the fire doesn't actually start hitting the bridge until right there. So if you're standing here, you're safe. So that out of the way, we can loot this soul. And then once you cross, he'll fly back. And we come to a lever that we want to pull. Now this, I believe we are right above, if we look at where we're located. And this is cool. You see the houses of, you know, Inner Boletaria. But I believe we're right above the large main gate when we first entered the level. And it's kind of funny, by doing that, the boss thinks that because the gate is opened, that you're there, so it throws its spear at you, and in essence disarms itself, because, as we'll see, it doesn't have a spear. You gotta be careful here. There is a nasty pincer attack. Dreglings on either side. Okay. You want to take them out one at a time. And if we come over here, we can get some more turpentine. Turpentine is a item fire buff for your right-hand weapon. Note that if you have a club, you cannot use turpentine because wooden and leather weapons and shields cannot be upgraded or buffed. This is pretty nasty. Narrow corridors and spearmen. I have died here before on some playthroughs because I got a little bit overconfident. Take out those fire draglings with range, and here we encounter our first hoplite. But if you see the emblem on their shield, it's the same emblem that was on that banner. If we can sort of stand, yeah, you see that? So that's what led me and other people to speculate that, because this is a banner, this is the banner of Boletaria, which we see on the crest over the gate as well. We're now on the other side. Across the way is where we cut down those corpses over there. And we're on the other side of the wall. And remember, we had that gate that we couldn't go through when we first entered. So we've essentially scaled that side of the wall, went all the way up the top, and then scaled down the other side, and pulled the lever from within to open the main gate. Now that's all that's left to do is not die here from the hoplites are falling. If you get behind them, they're pretty weak. You can just attack them. They have a spear that they can throw at you from range or poke at you from up close. Actually, we might want to wear the providential ring here because they can drop sharp stone and hard stone. And we weren't lucky enough to get any, but that's okay. So we get some 3 half moon. And we open the gate, and we've come full circle. Now, we see the spear that the boss threw at us. And it has remnants of some goo or slime on it, which is really cool. And there is now a boss fog. What I love about this level is sort of what I just explained, how it pits you up against this, you know, seemingly unpenetrable defense, and you have to make your way through these pitiful enemies, and the enemies progressively get stronger and more aggressive, and you handle them in different situations and groups and hordes, and as you progress, you get closer to going through and opening the shortcuts. It's just so well designed. I think it's one of the very best opening levels of any of the From Software games. Another one that I would argue is as good is the first level of Bloodborne, Central Yharnam. So for this boss, I mentioned earlier, I think in the last episode, saving your fire bombs, because this boss is susceptible to fire, and it essentially, its only form of defense is all the hoplites that surround it. It is the phalanx, or in Chinese, 法兰克斯, which is just a transliteration. You want to be careful not to get overwhelmed, but once you start throwing the bombs, the hoplites will retreat back to try to protect the boss, but they take out, they will take out a lot of hoplites. And we are out of our fire bombs, but it's okay. So with all the hoplites dead, the boss will just back away. The boss cannot attack you at all. Something interesting to note is that if you leave it alone, the hoplites will surround it and will start healing it and will regenerate its HP. This boss can be bled. If you have a scimitar, you can bleed it and then take out the hoplites, and he will slowly bleed. But he'll just back himself into a corner. And we've defeated our first demon. And that is the Phalanx. And looks like we were not lucky at all, because we got no drops from any of those hoplites. Now, you could kill the hoplites and quit and reload the game, and you would enter the fight. You would, when you if you quit out a boss fight, you'll spawn. When you reload the game, you'll spawn outside the fog, and you could enter. Then you could enter and kill the hoplites again if you're wanting to farm the hard and sharpstone. But that's not too big of a deal, because you'll get plenty of that when you come to the next level. And so if we touch this archstone, we'll get the lead demon soul. Lead as in the element. And this is the archstone of the Phalanx. And we could progress here, but we don't want to. We want to go back to the Nexus.
Welcome back. The Monumental awaits the above. The Monumental will explain the Nexus to thee.
So, if you're not paying attention in that cutscene, it essentially shows you where to go. So it's a good idea to pay attention. But the first time I ever played this game, I was pretty lost and confused, because I didn't realize that what it was showing me was where I had to go for some reason, or I had forgotten and just sort of wandered around not knowing where to find the Monumental. But if you talk to her, again...
The Monumental awaits the above. The Monumental will explain the Nexus to thee.
She'll only tell you to do that. So you have to talk to the Monumental to progress the game. We can talk to the Crestfallen.
Still alive? I am impressed. This is something that might interest you. The black-robed maiden of the Nexus looks after the flames. She's the morose one, with eyes sealed, compacted by wax. She can control souls like no other. Bring her the souls of men and demons, and she will embolden your flesh and blood with their power. But beware, do not decay into a foul beast.
So he tells us that the Monumental can give us, or not the Monumental, the Maiden in Black there can give us power, which, yes, that's how we will spend our souls to level up. And we do have a fair amount, 7,563. And by killing a boss in this game, you regain your body. You notice that we are back to our body form again, which we lost by dying to the Vanguard. Oh, and I failed to mention in the last episode, because of the way in which character creation in this game works, you cannot create a character and then later delete it. All your characters are saved to one sort of save file, and I don't want to just create a character just to beat that boss and then not doing anything on there, and it would just take up space, which would just sort of it would bother me, if you know what I mean. To just have an empty character slot that I'm not going to be using. So I will showcase myself fighting and beating the Vanguard, but I will probably do that on another character when I decide to finally make one. And honestly, it doesn't matter what class you pick, so long the way to fight him is more or less the same. I mean, the only difference is that the Magician and the Royalty can hit him from range with magic, or I guess if you pick a Thief, you can shoot him from range with a bow. But that's neither here nor there right now. We want to go talk to the Monumental. And if you remember from the first episode when I showed that little room where you can view your character stats, here's us, and now we've defeated one demon, which shows up there. That's that top number. This is no longer here. That gate blocking us, so we can go all the way up. Now, if we come out here, not only do we get a view of the top of the Nexus, which is beautiful, and we see this statue, and there's a statue that's hanging below it. It's like the mirror of it, and you can see there are like miniature versions of those. They're lined along here, and you see an item over there which we can go get. And this is a Stone of Ephemeral Eyes. These are very important items. They allow you to regain your body form. You get plenty of them throughout the game, but you do not want to use those recklessly if you're trying to do everything that's possible to do in the game. You want to save those. And we can look down here, and you can see that these are all non-living. We can come up here, and we'll be on the other side of this. And there's one with a flame lit in front of it, and that is the Monumental.
We have long awaited you, slayer of demons. I am one of the Monumentals. We preserve the fabric of reality. There is a tale I wish to tell you. Once, we too a scourge of demons faced. In the distant past, under benevolent rule, the world was united owing to the soul arts. Until a lust for power caused the awakening of the Old One. Across the land seeped a colorless, deep fog, and the world faced extinction at the hands of the demons. Thanks be, we were able to lull the Old One back to its slumber, yet only after the loss of innumerable souls, and most of the world lost, erased by the fog. In order to mend the fabric of what lands still remained, we entrusted 6 leaders with 6 precious archstones, one to the king of a small yet industrious land, one to the king of the burrowers underground, one to the wise queen of the great ivory tower, one to the chieftain of lost and ill-fortuned souls, one to the shaman of the tempest-worshipping shadowmen, and the last to the great giants of the northern lands. The archstones were placed in the fringelands that survived. We contained the Old One here below the Nexus and prohibited the soul arts. Finally, we became Monumentals, half-living sentinels of the fabric of reality. Alas, the other Monumentals have perished, and only I remain.
So this says, by the power of the Monumentals, the 4 archstones that were sealed, the seal has been opened.
Now it is your turn. You must lull the Old One back to its slumber and seal it away for all eternity. If not, a deep fog will absorb all that we know. Have you the strength to bear this burden?
If you say no here, you lose out on getting a very useful ring. And if you want to get the trophy for all the rings, you need that ring. Otherwise, this really does not have any consequence to you if you don't care about that. And you'll just get some dialogue, and he'll essentially tell you, or it, because this will tell you that you have no choice.
Yes, we are fortunate indeed to have you. Now, go forth and destroy every last demon. The Old One, without demons to feed its souls, will a new servant seek and lure you to its bosom.
So he tasks us, he or she tasks us with destroying all the demons so that we can lure the Old One back, so that the Maiden will lull the Old One back to slumber.
We neutralized the Old One and banned the soul arts. Then we spread the archstones, And in order to mend reality, monumentals we became. However, man's memory of history is ever short, and before long he repeated his mistakes. The monumentals perished, and the archstones were long forgotten. And the short-sighted King Alant once again roused the Old One.
So this thing is communicating with us telepathically, and it's been pointed out that he is in fact made of wood. You can see his face. If we can get a better look there. It's like a puppet that has, I guess you can tell from his eyes that it's sentient. But, yeah, so that is a lot of lore there. King Alant basically brought the world to be as it is, and we are now tasked to undo what he did and try to bring the world back to a place where there's no soul arts. Soul arts, if you're a little bit confused, are essentially what allows us to use this magic. You can drop here, but I'm not familiar with the drop, and I don't want to lose my body form just yet. And I want to go up here, because if you come up here, there's another gate, but you can touch this gate and enter the Pantheon, which is essentially a place where you can see, for one, you can see your current character, but you can see most phantoms slain. You can see different characters that are in here for different reasons, different players. This is the most recent player that's beaten the game, the Uniter of the World. Why can't we see their character? Is that a bug? Can I not see my own? That's very strange. You can usually see the characters, but we want to come up here not to look at the Pantheon necessarily, but we want to get the other Stone of Ephemeral Eyes here. Yeah, there's something going on with this. The Pantheon was known to be full of cheaters in the original for the most part, and it was also quite buggy, and it seems that's still the case, but I haven't seen it not showing the character models. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll have to check that out later. But now that the Monumental has released the seal on the other archstones, we can talk to the Maiden in Black, and she will allow us to seek soul power. Do we? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that, why those are not visible. can talk to her.
Brave soul, for whom death is no fear. Prithee, lull the old one back to its ancient slumber.
And she gives you the 2 eye stones. They allow you to connect with those in other worlds. So the blue eye stone allows you to write your own blue sign, soul sign down on the ground for other players to see, to summon. And the white eye stone serves as a means to send players home from your world or leave other players' worlds. And the Maiden in Black has power over souls, and she is able to manipulate them and transfer them into strength for you. And so we have plenty of souls from just beating that boss and going through that level, so we want to level up.
Seekest thou the power of souls? Of course. After all, thou requirest strength. Go ahead. Touch the demon inside me. Let these vagabond souls become thine own. Soul of the mind, key to life's ether. Soul of the lost, withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. So the world might be mended.
So we can get 10 levels. We don't want faith though. We have 1 magic slot. We would like to get 2, so we want that. Like some more magic. Let me just... just look at how much strength. I don't necessarily need strength right now. We'll get some endurance, some vitality. And some dexterity. So we'll get pretty much a little bit of everything. We can talk to her.
Myself. I'm only here to tend to each flame. I keep the candles lit and serve the brave demon slayers who are trapped here. I keep the candles lit and serve the brave. Art thou finished? May thy strength help the world be mended.
Okay, now we want to talk to Thomas. Now remember that jade hair ornament?
That ornament. That belongs to my daughter. Then she didn't make it after all. My dearest little baby. May she rest in peace. May I ask a favor? Would you mind giving me that hair ornament? I'd like to have it in memory of my daughter.
Notice how he doesn't demand it, but like he knows how much more powerful you are compared to him, so he he very politely asks if you will give it to him. Of course we're going to give it to him.
You're a saint. Thank you. Thank you so much. I mustn't forget. It's not much, but please accept this as thanks. I found it discarded on the main road. It might look ordinary, but it seems to possess a strange power. Anyway, I feel that you should have it. It will be happier in your hands.
And he gives us the great strength, or the enormous strength ring. They call it Herculean strength ring in English, but it essentially is the counterpart to the Ring of Great Strength. This is like Power Ring, or Ring of like Power, and this is like Ring of Enormous Strength. Like how you would translate those is it's kind of arbitrary, but this essentially raises your item burden, so it allows you to carry more things, or like if you want to pick something up and you don't want to send it back to Thomas, you can use this to pick it up. It has its uses. It's definitely worth getting this ring. It's not quite. I think in the original game it was more important, but it's still very useful in this version of the game. And I would say don't overlook it, even though that you can send things back to storage. We do want to deposit a lot of the stuff though that we picked up, so we do want to talk to him.
I'm keeping a close watch on your belongings, don't you worry.
Something I'd like to talk about though is he says he found that ring discarded on the main road. So what are we led to believe? What is the main road? Like, we're talking Boletaria, because his wife and daughter we found their corpses. His wife was, I'm assuming, the one that had the ragged robes on it, and his daughter was then the other one. And so if they were there and he abandoned them and they were killed by the demons somehow and strung up, maybe by I don't know, soldiers, or maybe another NPC we'll meet later. Is that main road the road leading up to the inner castle, or the road that was sealed off that led to the outer wall that we were just at? Like when we spawned into that level, there was a gate behind us that was blocked. I wonder if he meant like the road that was leading up to there, or we don't really know, but it's interesting that he says that. And like, because if he fled, he abandoned his wife and daughter to flee the demons. He found that ring on the way. At least that's how I interpret it. We don't need a lot of this grass right now because it's very heavy. We don't need these stones. Don't need that broken sword, the bastard sword, the scimitar. We got 2 mail breakers. We'll hold on to 1. We don't need the purple flame shield. We don't need the crossbow or the bolts. We don't need the ragged robes. The rings were fine. And I think that should be good. Yeah, that's the white eye stone, and that's the blue eye stone.
If only something could be done to help him. You have a heart of gold. Don't let them take it from you.
And with some of those stones, we can upgrade.
It's simple. Just bring me all the souls you can. In trade, I'll give you weapons, or forge the ones you already have. With your souls, I can eke out a living. And with my weapons, you can go on living. Not a bad deal, eh?
We can repair our gear, but we don't have souls for that, so...
I can tell you're not going to last long here.
Oh, something I want to show that a lot of players might not realize, but You do still get the animation for using souls. You just have to equip them to do it. If you do it in the menu, they've sort of streamlined this, and you just get them.
It's simple. Just bring me all the souls you can. In trade, I'll give you weapons, or forge the ones you already have. With your souls, I can eke out a living. And with my weapons, you can go on living. Not a bad deal, eh?
So we can repair our gear. And we can upgrade our rapier to +1. And we can upgrade our buckler to +1. We could upgrade the mailbreaker, but we don't have enough souls.
And be thankful that I can do anything for you at all in this forsaken place. Do come back alive. I need your business.
And note that we could still upgrade even though our stones were with Thomas. So it's always worthwhile to drop off your stones to him because they just will take up inventory space. And by upgrading our rapier, we have now an attack of 91. Attack rating. And let's equip these items for whenever we want to do co-op. And I think... Oh, let's talk to him. I think he has something to say then now that we've talked to the Monumental.
Have you met the last surviving Monumental?
Yeah.
Those fools revived the old one on a whim. And now, they've trapped us here in the Nexus in a desperate attempt to undo their mistake. It's all a travesty, if you ask me.
Yeah, so he's a very cynical character, and I think, you know, for a good reason, because he sort of has the attitude like he probably, like the player character, came into Boletaria to try to find out what was going on with the fog, because suddenly this world was cut off from the outside land, and, you know, came in here to maybe be a brave hero that would save the land, and then found out that, like, oh, well, it's just like this ruse where the world is split up and now he can't even escape, and what's worth killing the demons because you're just a slave to this Monumental who tells you, because yeah, if you say no, that you don't have the power to accept the mission, the Monumental will basically say, like, well, it's too bad, you have to do it anyways. So yeah, I think it's noteworthy, and so you you have varying perspectives here. And his is, I think, you know, he's called the Crestfallen Warriors for a reason. He's basically is given up. But I think that's gonna have to do it for this episode, guys. I hope you enjoyed. We've made it through the first level. We've beaten the Phalanx. Next time we're gonna progress and I think acquire some more gear and strengthen. Or actually we do have time, I think, to meet one more NPC. This guy.
Are you here to face the demons? If so, please free Sage Freke the Visionary from his cell in Latria. I will help you, however I can. I can teach you elementary spells. Sage Freke is a gleaming hope for humankind, but I have not the power to save him alone.
Notice he's wearing the male version of the magician's clothes. And I have been watching Franz German Spy's playthrough of this on YouTube, and I totally agree with what he says about this voice actor making it sound like they told him to talk like he's talking to the character as if they're 5 years old. But we want to learn some magic from him, and we want to learn We want to learn this spell, Flame Toss. It costs 1,000 souls.
Suit yourself. Just ensure that you rescue Sage Freke as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we'll do that. And we will. Do it the fast way, okay?
Are you begging for a magic lesson?
And we'll learn Cloak. And Water Veil. We want that one as well.
Be careful how you use it. Normally, I had to make... Are you begging for a magic lesson?
We do want enchant weapon. We can get that while we have the souls. This is will be mildly useful at some point, and we can equip Flame Toss, so we can use both a fire and magic spell.
Master Freke is a great man who has systemized the magic of the soul arts to make it possible for human imitation. By observing the state of Boletaria and the demons within it, he is likely to pave the way for greater things. All the more reason that I must meet Master Freke as soon as possible. All the more reason that...
Okay.
Be careful how you use it. Normally, it would not be granted to one such as yourself. I had to make an exception for the sake of Sage Freke.
I just want to point out that she will have other dialogue, and we do have this priest here now, and along with this guy, but we'll get the dialogue from those characters in the next episode, because I'm just about out of time here. But I want to thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a thumbs up. Subscribe if you have not already. And I will see you next time on Chang'e, Journey Through Boletaria. Umbasa.